What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Patient X Holistic Healing, where we discuss the mental, physical, and spiritual sides of healing. Today's video, we're going to talk about education, right? Because education is one of the most important things on your spiritual journey, on your life journey, whatever you want to call it. Every facet of life, you need education, right? Now, I want to talk about the three learning styles, the three main learning styles, and then I want to talk about a few different types of intelligence because in today's school system, in modern education period, they don't teach these things, and this is why people go through school not knowing the way they learn. They grow up thinking that they're stupid because they didn't learn what they were taught in school, but whole time school did not know how to teach them. So we're going to talk about that. If you never seen me before, my name is Professor X. I'll be your healing coach and spiritual teacher today. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below if you have anything to add to the conversation. And let's get right into it. So first and foremost, I want to get into the three learning styles. Like I said, these are the three gatekeepers of all knowledge. Any type of intelligence you're going to have or exercise, you have to go through these three learning styles first. And there's probably more than this, but these are the three main ones, right? First, you have situational learning, or what I like to call occasional intelligence. And then you have what do we call street intelligence, but it's really intuition. And then you have book intelligence, right? Now, I'm sure you're familiar with at least two of these, but I'm still going to go over all of them in somewhat depth so that you can understand where I'm going to take the conversation next, right? So occasional intelligence, that is a term that I made up. I'm sure somebody out here calls it something different, but that's just what I like to call it because it's occasional, right? Not occasional meaning that it's so-so. Maybe sometimes you know, sometimes you don't. That's not what it means. Occasional intelligence is knowledge that you gain through specific experience, right? Now, when it comes to the human brain, right? When we learn, we're building neural pathways. That's all learning is you forming a neural pathway in your mind. Then that neural pathway has that certain knowledge that you learned, right? But the process of building neural pathways can become difficult for some people because if they don't understand or they're not able to grasp the information that they're being told, then it's just going to go one ear and out the other, you know? Unless there's some type of substance or weight, some type of implication of the material to the learner, then they're not going to build that neural pathway. And that's why we learn based off of occasion, right? So let's say I used to go to school, right? And I struggle with learning sometimes, but the main times that I did learn something was when the lesson was paired with some sort of activity or some type of occasion, right? So, you know, I remember things from science experiments. I remember things if I had like a teacher who made the class fun, even though we were just doing regular work, I remembered the material. If I had a friend in the class and we would laugh and giggle and make jokes, but we still kind of paid attention, I would remember the material more because it's linked to other neural pathways in my mind. When we can connect what we're doing to what we already know, then it's easier to build neural pathways. That's occasional intelligence or occasional learning. This has helped humans get where we are today because it's like the most important things that we need to know, they're implicating us. It's something that is drawing us from a previous state to a newer state. So it's like, let's say I was a hunter-gatherer or some shit, and you know, out of nowhere, I stumbled upon a gorilla, you know what I'm saying? And I have to, you know, escape the gorilla. Random ass example. But, you know, me finding that gorilla over there, I would never forget that gorilla is over there. That's because there was a situation that was paired with that new information. There was a danger there that implicated me and my life was at stake. So I'm more likely to form a neural pathway based off the new information. Now, if somebody were to tell me, oh, don't go over there, there's a gorilla over there, I'm less likely to remember that. It might go one ear and out the other just based off of human biology. When there's actual emotions behind a neural pathway, when there's actual chemicals moving through the body, cortisol, all of these things, that's going to solidify that into your mind. There's certain things that you will never forget, and it's because of the experience of learning the new information. Now, the next learning style is what we call street intelligence or, you know, intuition, right? Now, when it comes to intuition, they don't teach this in school at all, actually. And it would be kind of difficult for them too, but it's definitely possible. We have intuition training all on the internet. You can do little quizzes and, you know, different little workshops to help you gain intuition and kind of see into the near future. You feel me? But that's a whole video on its own. Point blank is They don't teach these things, and this is one of the main forms of intelligence that we use, if not the most common one that we use on a day to day. If I put you on the back line of a McDonald's, if you had no experience, you didn't know shit about McDonald's, you just went back there, eventually by the end of the day, with minimal conversation, by the way, with minimal conversation, you would be doing what the McDonald's people do. If I told you go work there and you had no information, you would be able to do what they do. And that's because of intuition, and that's because of street smarts. When we get into a certain environment with people, we're able to tap into the collective consciousness and, kind of download information, download knowledge from other people. I talked about this in a previous video. I'll link it right here. That was literally the last video that I made. So go watch that, about the collective consciousness and how we can draw information from a greater field of knowledge, But it may sound like some woo-woo shit. Well, I mean, we're used to woo-woo stuff on this channel, but when it comes to people who are not used to it, they might discredit it or say that it's not real, but it's so obvious, it's so evident. We can read rooms. When I walk into the room, I generally know how to act in that room. It's because I'm tapped into the collective consciousness of the room. I'm tapped into the emotional state of the room. There's a field that is being produced by each and every person, and all of these fields combine. This is what we call aura, right? Human beings, we don't just take up space. We share space on many different planes. We share physical space, mental space, spiritual space, etheric space, astral space. Like, it's all types of space that we share, and we're able to be interconnected in that way. So when it comes to intuition, it's like I could put you on the street and you would generally know how to move, instinctually. Animals have this as well. It's a lot more, DNA coded with animals, but even if you put an animal in an environment where it's not used to that environment, it'll still find a way to adapt intuitively. Throughout human history, we have evolved to use this a lot because we had to really focus on survival. Just now, in the last few hundred years, have we not solely been focused on survival? Like, we're out here living and shit now, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't always like this. At a certain point, your whole life was geared towards your last meal at the end of the day. And then you got to do this shit over again, do all the work to find another meal. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like I got food in my crib for a few months. I'm not going to lie. So we're able to focus a lot more on, the things that we want to do. We don't have to rely on intuition like that, especially since we do jobs, and these jobs are low-key monotonous. We do the same things every day. So it's like we know what to expect. That's beyond intuition at that point. That's conditioning and that's programming. But moral of the story is that intuition is a very critical learning style because it's so spontaneous. You feel me? The other one is spontaneous as well. Conditional learning. It's like the thing that these two learning styles share is that they're accompanied by some type of aha moment. When you're experiencing the energy of the room, tapped into the collective consciousness, and you just know, you find gnosis out of nowhere, like, oh, or also when you're going through a certain experience with occasional learning and, something just clicks, you feel me? That's very common. But when it comes to book smarts or book learning, which is also not just reading, it's also listening as well, and sometimes seeing. When it comes to this type of intelligence, the script flips a little bit. You feel me? Humanity, we have not really needed to learn from books. Like, we're animals, a natural species, if you will. Like, I don't believe we're animals, but we come from nature in that way, where it's like if we just had nothing and just nature, we would be using the first two types of intelligence. We wouldn't be using book smarts or book intelligence. And, this is something that we've developed as we become more intelligent, and we're going to start to focus on it more over time. But right now, it's like it's almost useless to a lot of people. Now, I'm not going to say it's useless overall, because book smarts and learning how to, learn through theory, that's very important, especially when trying to ascend your consciousness. But for practicality and for where humans are right now in our, existence, in our evolution, all we've had to do is do the first two: learn through experience and learn through intuition. This is why book smarts is so rare, and it's like high praise. You feel me? In school, this is what I want to get into in the next conversation, is school. They prioritize book smarts and book intelligence. They prioritize memorization. So it's like you could go to school, not really truly understand the material, but as long as you remember it, you're good. You can get an A and become valedictorian. It's a lot of dumbass valedictorians, I'm not going to lie. It's like they do good in college and they do good in school, but you drop them out in the real world and they're just another person, So it takes a lot more than knowing stuff to, truly make an imprint on society, to truly be of service to society. It takes more than knowing stuff. You have to actually know how to use it. And this is what the other two intelligences teach you how to do, how to use what you know. It almost comes instinctually with the other two forms of intelligence. When you're in the experience, the experience informs you how to act based off that experience. When you're using your intuition and you learn something, you spontaneously know how to act based off of what you just downloaded. But when it comes to book knowledge, it's like you're reading that shit and you're like, well, shit, how does this correlate? How does this really matter? Like, we all ask that question in school. Well, teacher, am I gonna use this in real life? And the answer was probably no, but they didn't want to tell us that. It's like you will probably never use what you learn in school. And a lot of people go to college, they major in something, and they don't even get a job that's related to their major. School is honestly a joke right now. But I went back to school to learn specific stuff, but I'm actually using what I learned. So that's a whole nother conversation. As of right now, book smarts is honestly heavily overrated, especially within institutions, and we need to prioritize more, experience knowledge and intuition knowledge. We need to prioritize those learning pathways, because not everybody can learn based off of books and learning, audibly. Not everybody can just hear something and be like, oh yeah, that's gonna stick with me. Like, not everybody's like that. Very few people are. So it doesn't make sense for our schools to be built in that way. This is why only a few people get good grades. But really, in reality, all humans are smart. Like, I don't believe in dumb people. I believe in ignorant people for sure. But dumb is crazy. We're too advanced of a species, and we all have the same capabilities. Don't let these IQ people fool you into thinking that some people are born more intelligent than others. Everybody's born on this even playing field. Your spirit and your soul might have more information or different information than somebody else's. But when it comes to, how we ground that into the physical as babies, we come as a blank slate. We have to really relearn all of this stuff. So it's like the way that I'm raised is what really makes a difference in how smart I become. It's not about, oh, that person was just a genius out of the womb. Like, no, certain people are born listening to Mozart in the womb, and some people are born listening to, I want to kill my whole family music in the womb. So it's like all of that stuff plays a role in the way we develop cognitively. I do think that book smarts is going to become more and more important as we grow as a species, as we evolve mentally, which is why it's probably being pushed so hard right now in schools. I mean, they probably don't know, but as we grow, we'll be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, like we needed that book intelligence, but we also need the intuition and experience training. And that's something that school just does not give us right now. Like I told you about neural pathways, right? As humans start to be able to completely control, with the complete consciousness and awareness, control the way their brain creates neural pathways. I'm talking like I could form a neural pathway and visualize that shit doing this little zipping, and how they spread out and shit and they connect. As soon as humans can learn how to do that on a wheel, that's when we'll be able to fully utilize book intelligence, because it's like our memories will become way better, and book intelligence completely is based off of memory. Can you memorize this? Can you memorize that? But to be honest, the true limitation of book knowledge is that you don't know, there's no way of knowing how something impacts you in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could read about how, 9/11, they bombed two towers. I could read about that. But the emotional and true spiritual weight of that, it's like I would have had to be there to truly know. You know what I'm saying? But that's for a whole nother video, to be honest. I could make a whole video about that. Moral of the story, I'm making this video so that people my age specifically can really peep game to how we need to change the school system, because I will not send my kids to school. Like, I'm not gonna lie, my kids will not go to public school. They might go to a public high school, maybe probably a private high school or charter school or some shit like that, and they can go to college and do whatever they want to do. But the school system specifically in America is so trash. It's dog water. It's crazy, and it's crazy mainly because we have so much money that we could be putting into our education, so much knowledge. Feel me? The same shit that I'm saying right now, I know there's a professor at some highly ranked college teaching, but it's like there's not enough influence. There's not enough attention being put into this type of content or this type of train of thought, right? But I know that we'll get there eventually, because it's like the way it's going, we cannot sustain ourselves as a country, let alone as a species. Nobody can sustain themselves only focusing on book intelligence. That's stupid, bro. Life in the real world, I said this earlier, but I'm gonna say it again. In the real world, it's not about what you know. It's about how you use it. There's people who are stupid as shit. Stupid, making millions of dollars, millionaires, because they learned one small thing and they know how to use it real good. You feel me? And rather than somebody who knows so much useless shit, they don't even know how to use it. You feel me? But that's pretty much it for this video, man. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Like I said, if you have anything to add to the conversation, please leave it down below. I want to thank y'all for watching Patient X Holistic Healing. I am Professor X, and I'm going to catch y'all later. Peace.